So I think the president used this opportunity. I'm putting Title 42, and I'm going to be tight on Iran. He'd have better prospects on the election, to be really cynical.
How about just close the border?
Yeah, but he needs an apparatus to do his job, evidently.
Fox News' Brian Kilmeade and Jeanine Pirro are about to be embarrassed on national TV by their least favorite coworker and the network's token liberal.
Of course it is possible that somebody, God forbid, could leak through on a border. But it is important to consider the facts about this, at least up until this point. So I went back and looked at testimony from someone who works at the Cato Institute. He went before the Subcommittee on Immigration, Integrity, Security, and Enforcement in September. He said 0 Americans have been injured or killed in terrorist attacks by illegal immigrants or asylum seekers who entered through the southern border. And over the period from 1975 to 2022, the chance of being murdered in an attack by a foreign-born terrorist was 1 in 4.3 million per annum. That's just important to consider in all of this, but do keep that in the back of your mind as you say that now, like Kevin McCarthy, this is the number one threat. Based on the data, it absolutely isn't.
I'm really glad that Jessica debunked one of Fox News' most pervasive talking points when it comes to immigration, because let me know she's on her P's and Q's and she will not be swayed by these ridiculous theories that people like Kevin McCarthy have and her coworkers. Sure, you have this opinion? Okay, well, the data says something completely different, my friends, completely different. And there is just so much xenophobia and racism behind Fox News' immigration take. Why? It lets people know, hey, you're a foreigner, you don't look like us. We're going to categorize you as being a scary individual and a threatening member to our society that you could bring incredible harm. When again, the data says, well, actually, Brian and Jeanine, chances are very low, and there's been no data of Americans being killed by individuals, immigrants who enter illegally, or asylum seekers crossing the southern border. So what now? And the sad thing is, the way they package this immigration philosophy, Kevin McCarthy and Brian and Jeanine, is going to impact how their viewers digest what is going on in Israel and Palestine. And even Jessica's co-worker, Dana Perino, tried to plant seeds of doubt into the viewer right before they went to commercial.
Based on the data, it absolutely isn't.
Until it is.
Until it is.
All right. Up next, Hamas terrorists are now using social media to broadcast their brutality.
While Jessica Tarlov definitely has her blind spots when it comes to policy, and she shouldn't just be praised for being a liberal in a sea of right-wing nut jobs, her pushback against her co-host is vital to at least project the image that Fox News is a legitimate news source so they can get as many new audience members to get hooked on to their propaganda.
You would hear words like deplatforming, deprogramming, cult, all haters in countries like the Soviet Union, China, North Korea. Isn't that in itself a threat to democracy?
Hillary Clinton giving an interview? No.
Saying what she said in the interview?
No. It's not a threat to democracy. I really need everyone to spare me the faux outrage and the pearl clutching about this. Little collection of things that Donald Trump and high-ranking Republicans call liberals on a daily basis: anarchists, anti-American, deranged, communists, corrupt, compromised, groomers and perverts, thugs and traitors. Now, she was explicit that she was talking about a subsection of the Republican Party the same way that Joe Biden is when he talks about this MAGA extremism.
I love how Jessica basically said, we're not here for that. We're not getting worked up for this fake outrage over Hillary Clinton saying Trump supporters need to be deprogrammed and that they're in a cult. Duh. Where's the lie? Have you seen how MAGA people act? Come on now. What's even more satisfying, though, is seeing her flip it back onto high-ranking Republicans and Donald Trump by like, yo, this is what y'all have said about Democrats. These nasty names that are not intended to be compliments whatsoever. So she is completely defeating the Fox narrative that they try to push about the left. Unfortunately, though, most likely it falls on deaf ears, not only to Fox's audience, but to her co-host as well.
If the leader of the Democratic Party, so that would be Joe Biden, was facing 4 indictments with 91 felony counts. He had been found liable of sexually assaulting a woman and defaming her. That's E. Jean Carroll. Guilty of fraud, sharing the nation's secrets, not only in the Mar-a-Lago indictment, but there was a report yesterday from ABC News that he had shared information about our nuclear submarine capacities with an Australian billionaire who's a member at Mar-a-Lago, who had then gone on and shared that with dozens of other people, ended up making a purchase, I think, of 3 subs. It included specifics up to how many nuclear warheads they carry and how close they can get to Russian subs without being detected. And then I told you, so all of that is happening, and he's shooting up in the polls. And when you see those interviews of Trump supporters outside of the rallies, they're like, none of this is true. It's the big lie. He won the election, et cetera. And you wouldn't say to me, you guys are in a cult?
Checkmate. What you gonna say now? You can't say nothing because you know that it does resemble a cult. And yes, Jessica is the token liberal for Fox News's network. I don't know if she's moving the needle that much for their audience, even though not everybody who watches Fox is a Republican. But with their audience, you have to have multiple voices of dissent, multiple people who are going to push back against these absurd narratives that some of her co-hosts put out there. It's good to see that change, that unique perspective on that show, but I just don't know how much of a difference it's making. But I do like that the arguments that they do have and the disagreements are genuine from all things that I can read. I just wish that the people who are on the right side, or like on the far right, and Republicans, have more of an open mind about changing their mind, because pride is the devil. And I think that's what a lot of people get caught up into. It's like, okay, I'm sticking with this point because it's made me a lot of money. It served me well, and I'm not changing it. So yeah. For Rebel HQ, I'm Chris Williamson. We'll see you next time.